Oh, hi, kids. It's Mr. Larry. I hope you're doing well today. I've got a story today that may remind you of another story that you know from a long time ago. Chicken Little. You know the story about Chicken Little and the sky is falling? Oh, well, this one is not the sky is falling. This one is called The Glaciers Are Melting. Wow. If you need a science project at school or homeschool, or you just want to think about it, look up glaciers. Find out where they are, find out what they are, find out how did they get started and what's happening to them now, and what can we do about that? You and me, real people. Yeah, I think we can do something. I'm going to let you figure out what you can do. Talk to your big folks about it. Talk to your friends about it. But for right now, are you ready for a story? The Glaciers Are Melting. It's written by Donna Love. And the illustrator who drew the pictures is Shannon Bersani. Are you ready? Let's read. Well, once upon a time on a faraway mountain lived a little pika named Peter. Hey, do animals really have names? Well, in my world, they do. And do they talk to each other? Well, in my make-believe world, they do. On with the story. As he stuck his head out of his rock doorway one day, a drop of water fell bloop on his head. Great glaciers, whistled Peter Pika. The glaciers are melting. The glaciers are melting. If the glaciers melt, where will I live? I must go and ask the mountain monarch. He'll know what to do. What's a monarch? Another question. Okay, let's see what's next. Peter Pika scrambled up the face of the mountain as fast as he could. On a high ledge, he met Tammy Ptarmigan. Time out. Okay, it's spelled Ptarmigan. Ptarmigan, but we don't pronounce it Ptarmigan, which would be silly. We say it Ptarmigan, which is also silly, but that's not to think about. Let's just call her Tammy Ptarmigan. Where are you going? Tammy Ptarmigan asked Peter Pika. The glaciers are melting, whistled Peter Pika. Oh, by the way, pikas do whistle. They do. So he goes on, and I'm going to tell the mountain monarch. Gleaming glaciers, chirped Tammy Ptarmigan. If the glaciers melt, will I still turn white in winter? Because that's what ptarmigans do. I will go with you to ask the mountain monarch. There they go. The two climbed onward until they came to Sally Squirrel. Where are you going? Sally Squirrel asked Tammy Ptarmigan and Peter Pika. The glaciers are melting, chirped Tammy Ptarmigan. Peter Pika told me. Yes, a drop of it dripped on my head, whistled Peter Pika. And we are going to tell the mountain monarch. Glistening glaciers, squeaked Sally Squirrel. If the glaciers melt, where will I sleep in the winter? I will go with you to ask the mountain monarch. Now it is kind of like Chicken Little story, isn't it? Here they go. The three climbed on until they met Mandy Marmot. Where are you going? Mandy Marmot asked Sally Squirrel, Tammy Ptarmigan, and Peter Pika. The glaciers are melting, squeaked Sally Squirrel. Peter Pika told us, chirped Tammy Ptarmigan. Yeah, a drop of it dripped on my head, whistled Peter Pika, and we are going to tell the mountain monarch. Glorious glaciers, piped Mandy Marmot. If the glaciers melt, will it be too hot in summer for all this fur? I will go with you to ask the mountain monarch. The four climbers clambered on until they met Hairy Hare. Where are you going, Hairy Hare? Asked Mandy Marmot, Sally Squirrel, Tammy Ptarmigan, and Peter Pika. The glaciers are melting, piped Mandy Marmot. Tammy Ptarmigan told me, squeaked Sally Squirrel. Peter Pika told me, chirped Tammy Ptarmigan. Yes, A drop of it dripped on my head, whistled Peter Pica, and we are going to tell the mountain monarch. Golden glaciers, squealed Hairy Hare. If the glaciers melt, how will I hop on the snow? I will go with you to ask the mountain monarch. The 5 fine friends set out to climb the rest of the way up the mountain. Soon they grew tired and sat down to rest. Nice place to sit down, isn't it? Lovely. While they rested, wily Wolverine crept out from behind some rocks. Where are you going, my 5 fine friends? Hissed wily Wolverine with a sly grin. The glaciers are melting, squealed Hairy Hare. Sally Squirrel told me, piped Mandy Marmot. Tammy Ptarmigan told me, squeaked Sally Squirrel. And Peter Pica told me, chirped Tammy Ptarmigan. Yes, a drop of it dripped on my head, whistled Peter Pica, and we are going to tell the mountain monarch. Ah, but you're not going the right way, hissed wily Wolverine. The mountain monarch lives over here. Shall I show you the way? Of course, said the 5 fine friends, and they followed wily Wolverine to the door of his den. Do you think that's a good idea? Let's see what happens next. This is a shortcut to the mountain monarch, hissed wily Wolverine. The 5 fine friends looked at each other and asked, Are you sure this is the way? Of course it is, stated wily Wolverine, looking very sure of himself. Uh-oh. Just then the mountain monarch jumped down from the rocks and said, Don't go in there. It is wily Wolverine's home. And by the way, Wolverines are predators, and you know what that means. Then the mountain monarch butted wily Wolverine down the rocky mountainside. When wily Wolverine stopped tumbling, he got up and ran away. Now tell me, my 5 fine friends, asked the mountain monarch, what's all this I hear about the glaciers melting? Happy to escape, Hairy Hare, Mandy Marmot, Sally Squirrel, Tammy Ptarmigan, and Peter Pica all started talking at once. The glaciers are melting, squealed Hairy Hare. Sally Squirrel told me, piped Mandy Marmot. Tammy Ptarmigan told me, squeaked Sally Squirrel. And Peter Pica told me, chirped Tammy Ptarmigan. Yes, a drop of it dripped on my head, whistled Peter Pica. So we came to ask you what to do. The mountain monarch looked across the mountains. I was afraid of this, he said. From my view, high on the mountain, I see that the glaciers really are melting. Each year they get smaller and smaller. The 5 fine friends asked, what can we do? The mountain monarch looked sad and shook his head. Finally, he said, there are too few of us, so there is nothing we can do. So Peter Pica asked, well then, who? Oh, and that's where that story ends. It ends with a question, well, who can do something about that? I bet you have an idea on that. We can do something about that. We have to change the things we do that heat up the world. Yeah, and we can do that. We can walk more, we can ride our bicycles more, we can ride buses more, and because of all of that, we can drive cars less. In cars, the exhaust and all of the oil and all of that makes the world get warmer. There are things we can do, and there are people in your town that have ideas about that, and groups that you can join and listen to, and that your big folks can listen to, and you can talk among your friends and talk to your teachers and just talk to everybody. What can we do to stop the glaciers from melting, to turn things around, to stop the earth from heating up so fast? What can we do to keep things comfortable for a long, long time? We can do something. Now let's look at these pages that come after the story, the creative minds. We start off with learning about glaciers. And this tells a lot about them. And then, are they melting? Read that too and take a look at the pictures. Yeah. And then on the next page, this one shows where some of them are around the world. Ooh, hey, and take a look at this. What can we do? Here's some ideas to start thinking about. Well, well, well. And then down at the bottom, water and glaciers, because that's what glaciers are, frozen water. Started as snow, turned to ice, and way up in the mountains, there they are. And let's see, one more page. Ooh, here's a fun one. Animal matching activity. Yeah. And for another science project, alpine and Arctic animal adaptations. How do they get along with the environment? How do they adapt to it? Well, there's a lot of possibilities for homework, a lot of possibilities for thinking about things and talking to people and doing things that make the world a happier place, which is what we all ought to be doing all the time, isn't it? Let's think about that too. Well, I've got to go. I'm going to a virtual convention of Veterans for Peace. And you know what I'm going to do for starters? I'm going to do some yoga. Woo-hoo-hoo. I can't wait. So I hope you're having a good day today. I hope you're working hard, studying hard, playing hard, which is fun. Well, all the others can be fun too, and being very nice to everybody. So until next time, when we'll read some more stories, you take really good care. Peace and love. Bye-bye.